What is electromagnetism? Is it useful? Is it necessary for our modern society? Can we not survive without it? Let's find out. Electromagnetism is useful in various different applications. Examples for this range from MRI scanners, regular electric motors you might find in a fan or other appliances, and loudspeakers. Our understanding of electromagnetism is very useful and applicable to everyday life. Who knows, maybe tomorrow or the day after that we might find more ways to apply our understanding of electromagnetism to improve day-by-day life. One very useful aspect of electromagnetism is electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction is used in a wide selection of applications, primarily those that create or manipulate electricity and magnetism. This includes power generators, transformers, and motors. Without these, our lives would be far more difficult than they are now, especially because most of us are completely reliant on these appliances. Modern civilization needs and relies heavily upon electricity for lighting, controlling temperature of housing, cooling and heating food, and various different careers rely heavily on computers and other electrical technology to exist. Electromagnetic induction helps to fulfill the needs for electrical appliances with the motors, power generators, and transformers it allows us to create. My understanding of electromagnetic induction before going through chapter 16 of our physics textbook was at an all-time low. If I'm being honest, I didn't know anything about the subject beforehand. I didn't understand how electromagnetic induction worked with motors or how it contributed to electrical and magnetic studies, but through my research I started learning a bit more about this subject. Through my research I sought to find out how electromagnetic induction works and how it is very useful for us to be able to create motors. I decided to make a brushed motor using copper wiring around an axle, using magnets and a permanent power source to allow it to function. This motor works because the magnets have a permanent magnetic field and the copper wire, once it's given power, also has its own magnetic field. Both these magnetic fields are supposed to interact, causing the axle to spin and whatever's attached to it to spin, whether that be a fan or whatever the motor is being used for. This is my first and only design for the motor, which I would attempt to work with throughout my time spent on this project. Theoretically, the power from the battery being transferred to aluminum, which would come in contact with the exposed wire in the axle, would cause the wires and the magnets fields to interact. This should cause the axle to spin, which would in turn cause whatever the motor is being used for to spin, such as a fan blade. As I continued working with the design of the motor, eventually getting it fully built, this is what I had. This motor, sadly, would not work. I had no clue how to identify the problem. I checked the paper clips I used to transfer the flow of electricity into the exposed wire, which were aluminum, but after stripping off the plastic layer on the outside, it would not spin. I checked the copper wire for a plastic varnish, but there was none. I had assumed the issue could be with the cables I was using to connect the battery to the paperclip, so I soldered the wires neatly on the clamps, but it continued to not spin. I was at a loss. Or was I? As I was all confused after working on my motor to no avail, I looked back on our student example papers, and there I found the potential answer to my problem. Out of confusion and lack of attention, I suppose, I forgot to place my magnets in position to both have differing magnetic fields facing the wire, meaning that both were facing the axle with north or south fields rather than north and south, respectively. Even after fixing this issue, it still would not work whether or not I swapped the battery clamps. This is how I imagine the fields and current would look if it was working. So, we built a motor. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. We did it. Or at least we made a motor that doesn't work. Ziggy, go away. What did we learn? Well, we learned a little bit, that's for sure. I learned I can't build a functioning motor, but that's not important. This project helped me better understand what electromagnetism and electromagnetic induction is, and how it helps society today as we know it. I understand now that electricity and magnetism can coincide to give us motors. I also know that unless it was just by means of bad luck or an undiagnosed problem, I can't make a functioning motor for the life of me. I learned some patience, some understanding of electromagnetism, and how useful motors can be.